I know we want to talk about the parties, we want to talk about the shade, we want to talk about the reading, we want to talk about the outfits, but what about the meat of life, the substance of life? Somebody's going through some serious shit and they healing from it and moving forward. Why is that not a storyline or something?
Hey friends, welcome back to yet another episode of Key and Carry, where we key
and we carry.
I'm Damon.
I'm Troy.
And we have yet another interview with a WebLYFE producer / cast member. Hey, Mikey.
True. Yes.
Hey, Mikey.
Yes.
You're a cast member. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's get right on into it.
Oh shit, is Mikey here?
Yeah,
that's me.
Surprise! No, I'm just playing.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to be talking to y'all. I've been watching y'all the different interviews and stuff, and I'm like, okay, look at them. Y'all really doing y'all stuff.
Thank you. We really appreciate it, especially coming from somebody who's in this industry and you have so much experience. That means a lot. You know, that means a lot.
Thank you. Let me tell you, it means a lot. Like for me, when I first started, I was kind of like the only person that was doing this in the community or whatnot. And so then when I see other people coming and they doing different stuff now, I'm just like, oh my God, look at this. This is it's really good. It's the Renaissance. Because I'm really appreciating people taking their voices, like using that and building their own platforms to like kind of talk about things they want to talk about that are relevant to them and to a lot of different people at home and at large. And that's good what y'all doing. For me to just say that.
Thank you.
We're just two bored people that decided to start.
It's the bored for me. This boy saying we're just two bored people.
We were like creativity comes out of boredom.
Well, for me, guys, my name is Michael Janvier. I am a blogger. I'm a writer. I'm an editor. I'm a VP of A&R at a Roku channel, which is called You Do TV. I'm a father. I'm an uncle. I'm a body positive advocate, and I'm a pretty all-around good person until you piss me off.
Saw that. Okay, so for WebLYFE season 1, can you talk about your general experience on the show? I know that's hard to sum up into like one word, but
it was a mixed bag. It was a new experience. So for me, I've done a lot of different things. So when I experience something new, I get pretty excited about it. So in that aspect of it being like kind of like my first really big project that I was seeing come to fruition, I was really, really excited about it. But what I expected and what I was looking for is not what WebLYFE season 1 was about. Not by any means whatsoever. And so I felt like what I ordered versus what I got. And then because, I didn't know a lot about production, the person that I had initially partnered with to do it, I kind of laid more on his expertise with it, or so I thought it was expertise. And, that's something I regret because I should have researched said situation, said people thoroughly before I pitched the project to them or even created the project and allowed them to produce it. So that's on me. I had a vision of how I wanted my show to be, and the vision wasn't executed. And it was just a lesson for me to know that, you can never trust your vision in somebody else's hands.
Okay. I was going to say, because like, I know we said on one of our reviews that it's kind of interesting that you are a producer because the show doesn't really, you have good moments, of course, on the show, but I think as a whole, the show definitely pokes at like some of your flaws more than others. So I just thought it was interesting how you were a producer. And so speaking with the other producer about it, he kind of gave us a little more insight into like kind of, I guess, the battle between, you being a cast member as well as you being a producer. So can you maybe speak to a little more to that struggle?
So when it comes to that, being a producer, helping put things together, put things in place and stuff, that's kind of what I was doing behind the scenes. But being a cast member, I had to kind of double blind myself so that I didn't have an advantage over the other cast members per se. If I did something, I needed it to be shown accurately. You understand what I'm saying? Whether for good or ill. So that's kind of what it was about. I wasn't going to make myself immune to a situation because that wouldn't have been fair to them. Like I'm all for the realness in reality TV. If I did it and it happened, then so be it. And then also the thing about it too is the universe has a way of trying to teach you stuff when you need to see it. And so from being a part of season 1 and watching that, I was able to see a lot of flaws in myself that I personally need to work on. which was painful to watch, but it was the medicine that I needed to kickstart some things in me and cure some things in me. The most notable thing to cure was doubt. Definitely doubt. I was plagued with doubt for most of 2020, I would say. And then, you know, like I tell people, and most people don't know this, I actually filmed that season in between two tragedies in my life that kind of shaped some things about me. And so coming out of those two tragedies, or not even say coming out of them, healing from them, it's just me one by one, step by step, taking control of my life, being the person I should have always been from the go, becoming more confident. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I feel like we can kind of see that progression in the season of you, especially taking accountability, especially in the situation with you, Lacey, and Freshie.
Absolutely.
Cool how you were able to be like, you know what, I did come off this way, and I'm sorry, and this is why. And I was like, oh, that's really good, because, you know, no shade, but on shows like this, I feel like people, it's like they're allergic to taking accountability. They're like, no, I will fight you until like I will be loud and wrong, you know. And it's like, it's okay to be like, I was wrong, I felt away, and this is how I reacted. You know, we're all human. So I could definitely see that.
I appreciate that. You know, the thing about it is accountability is not fun, but it's necessary. If you fucked up and you did something wrong, you need to be able to say, hey, I fucked up and I was wrong. As much as you don't want to, because people feel like they're losing ground when they're taking accountability for something, but actually it just kind of shows your character as a person.
Right.
Taking ownership of the stuff that you messed up, cleaning up the mess that you made. And for me, I'm very big about adulting. And if somebody finds a spot in me and says, this spot needs wiped off, okay, I might resist a little bit, but ultimately I'm gonna wipe that spot off. Okay. That's just me. Also, with me being a parent, probably it's a little different too. I've been a parent since I was 17 years old. My son is 18. He's actually upstairs right now. And I hold him accountable for a lot of stuff. He knows that when he fucks up, I'm calling him out on it, and me and him have an issue with one another. So why would I not hold somebody half my age, a child, to the same accountability that I should hold myself to?
You talked about the vision that you had for season one. So what was your vision that you had for season one versus how it was actually portrayed?
Okay, well, y'all, listen, I don't know if y'all watch, like, kind of, if y'all are Housewives fans or whatnot. For me, I always like to say the girls on Housewives, for the most part, because sometimes they've gotten really, really messy, do fun shade. You get what I'm saying? Where you see they have an issue with each other. It might go on for an episode or two, but then they kind of work it out and they progress on and move to another situation or another problem or issue they might be having with somebody else within the group or outside the situation. That's kind of what I wanted to do. But the bigger part is you get to see kind of what they're doing on the outside as well. You know what I mean? When you're watching Portia, you see her doing the Black Lives Matter stuff. You see her doing Dish Nation. You also see her being a mother and dealing with her personal issues with her relationship or whatnot. I felt like with the first season of WebLYFE, we didn't get any of that. I know all these people personally. I know they have a lot of different things going on personally and professionally, but all we did was focus on two people. And then it was the shit between the two people that dragged out for an entire season. And they sidelined anything else that was going on with anybody else. And that wasn't okay. Because for me, with it being an ensemble cast, I wanted y'all to get to see the amazing stuff that these people and myself get to do on a day-to-day basis. A lot of stuff that we get to do, most people don't get to do. Unlike the rest of the cast, and this is not to be disrespectful to any of the other shows, unlike a lot of the rest of the LGBT web reality cast, these are people that you already know. You're very well acquainted with myself and Brandon and Freshie and Carl and Lacey and Larry and Chris. You know them very well. You've seen them. You know their name. You follow their projects. You follow them already. And so I'm thinking like, I'm kind of handing you something on a silver platter. Like, here it is. Let's go ahead and put this magic out there. But, it was dramatics and semantics that was made to be the pitch for the show. And I'm not with that.
I definitely understand. Like, did you put it in that context? Like, I thoroughly enjoyed season one of WebLYFE. Like, when we first started watching it, I felt like there was a good balance of less work, but then there's drama. And now that you mentioned it, looking back, there was kind of like the first season did kind of center on like the beef between Brandon and Carl. And I definitely would have liked to have seen more of like Lacey and Freshie. We did get to see that scene of them. We did get to see them, talk about their quarterly like business report. So it definitely would have been interesting to see a little bit more of them. I like that we got to see Carl and Brandon thrive, but like you said, they kind of made the season about Carl and Brandon, and I would have liked to have seen other cast members get more camera time.
Amen.
Definitely. Yeah, and I mean, like you said, like this is the cast is like actually like doing things. Like we could see that, and even like, you know, as you said, you felt like they could have shown more, and I agree with you. I feel like even the stuff that we saw was like, oh, like look at Brandon meeting up with, you know, an actor that's been on, you know, television. Look at, you know, Carl doing his not web show, his radio show and performing his song. So I was like, oh, like these people are actually doing stuff. So
right. But the question is, why didn't you see Lacey and Freshie when they went to Columbia and filmed internationally overseas doing stuff? Why didn't you see we saw Larry do like some of his music or whatnot, but Larry does so much other work. Larry actually works with victims of sexual assault doing counseling and therapy as well too. Why didn't you see me go to my celebrity events and do my interviews, working with Control Magazine, running sets and stuff? Why didn't you see why didn't you see Chris going to various events, building his company that he has now, production company, where he actually makes 1 minute video reels for aspiring actors and actresses, and hosting classes and doing fitness stuff. Like these are all things that you could have seen, but you didn't see any of that.
Right. Yeah.
Because the focus was on 2 people. And that's not okay. And people want to say, well, okay, well, that's because, you know, they were bringing, no. There's a lot of stuff that didn't get in. And when you say bringing it, do we, as Black LGBT people, is bringing it always going to be a me versus you type situation, a culture of competitiveness? Or is it going to be the actual substance of this is what we do, and this is what defines us, and this is what makes me stand out? Because we got to stop saying that, okay, they only show us like this when we only consume what's this.
True.
Like if y'all want better, I'm just gonna put it out there. If you want better quality TV, if you want to see people that look and love like you in a better light, you need to start consuming products that people who look and love you like you in a better light. You understand what I'm saying? And so for me with this second season, you're gonna see a balance. Yeah, it's gonna be some shit because people naturally don't get along sometimes. Right. Let's be clear about that. And let's actually put that out there. Friends don't always get along. But that's the thing about friends. You got friends and not yes men. You understand what I'm saying? Friends fall out, they make up. So you'll see that in season 2 coming up, but you're also gonna see they work. You're gonna see the web part of life.
Okay.
Instead of just the life.
So back to season 1, you talked about the way the show was edited. I wanted to ask if season 1, if that affected your friendship with Brendan in any way, since he won't be returning for season 2.
To be honest with you, me and Brendan did have a bit of friction between myself and him concerning the show. And we worked through it. Because like I said, that's the thing about being friends. Hey, Mike, I don't like how this is going. Well, hey, Brandon, I don't like that you said this. These are conversations that we had, and we're actually in a much better place than we've ever been in our friendship. We don't live together anymore, but Brendan is a member of my family. We talk almost every other day. I see him at least once a week. He's still got a key to the house. He can come and go as he please and stop by. That's the nature of our relationship. A show wasn't going to make us fall out. Did it put a strain on relationships between the other people on the show? Somewhat it did. You know, as you can see, him and Chris had a big falling out. Now went online. As you can see, him and Carl had a falling out, and it's, you know, it's still in a state of disrepair. But I'm hoping and praying, you know, that the 2 of them can come together and somehow find a way to move past this. Because, you know, for me, it's an uncomfortable situation. First, it was a personal and professional situation that clashed, you know, with Brandon being my roommate, with me also being a producer and cast member, you know, him having to shoot the show and stuff. I wanted to make sure I wanted him to be presented in the light that I see him, a more balanced light. But I also had to make a show happen. Does that make sense? So it had me torn. And then when it comes to between him and Chris, or him and Carl, you know, that puts you in another hard position because these are people I've been friends with for years. And I like having Carl around. I like having Chris around and whatnot. I like having Brendan around. But I'm keep being stuck between a rock and a hard place.
We know, I know a couple of people have talked about, I guess, the scheme that Todd set up. No, but how basically you guys, I guess, orchestrated this beef or instigated this beef between Carl and Brandon, and how I guess it seemed to go out of control, I guess. Like it seemed to be taken seriously. Can you speak to like that transition of how it went from you guys, I guess, playing around or like you guys kind of putting on for the show and like it kind of changing into like a serious, you know, beef?
Well, the situation is, you know, I know Carl has some pretty serious issues with people who do OnlyFans. Carl, like me, was raised somewhat traditionally and street. Like a lot of people don't know this, but I'm hood too. I just try to hold it back in and whatnot. And for me and him growing up, like we're older than Brandon is. For me and him growing up, people who did stuff like that, you was a slut, you was a hoe, you was a freak. We don't want nothing to do with you. You were someone to look down on. And then, you know, in this new generation and these new people come up now, that's kind of just like, that's just social media. You understand what I'm saying? And so I wanted them to kind of have conversations around how they felt respectively around that. And, you know, it progressed when the camera got on into something a bit more. You know, it's definitely something we try to control and moderate. But, you know, if you wear any mask long enough, it becomes your face. And it got out of hand. And it's really unfortunate because that's definitely not something that I wanted. Like what y'all saw in that reunion is, I don't want to see my friends fight. That ain't something I like. We didn't even get to the reunion. Y'all didn't even get to the complex conversation between myself and Carl. Like when Carl on the show, you know, he was kind of talking about stuff on the radio show or talking about me. Oh, Mikey's not influential, not this, not that. You know, well, let me and him address that because I had some choice things that I wanted to say and needed to say to him. But we didn't get to that part, you know, because it shut down. And it shouldn't have. Because the thing about it is the notes and the stuff that I made about, you know, how I feel like this should happen or I feel like this should go, that just wasn't taken into account because, you know, it felt like Mikey didn't know anything about production. But the thing about it is Mikey knows people so well that it will terrify you. I can look and be around people long enough to dictate patterns that are going to accurately tell you how they're going to react to almost any given situation. And any producer behind the scenes will tell you that when it came to the cast and the human factor of it, I was right 1,010% of the time.
Why didn't the reunion continue? I mean, I know that Carl and Brandon, of course, got into it, but why weren't they just taken out and then they didn't just continue? Or
because
like
the thing about it is,
them or something.
Well, the thing about it is, you know, first, you know, Brandon left because he felt triggered. That's not something I'm gonna tell you what he felt triggered about. That is his story to tell. So I'll let him tell that whenever he decides to tell that. But he felt triggered, and I understand, and he left. And so they didn't continue because so much of the season had been made about what Brandon and Carl. They didn't feel like perhaps the rest of us had something to say. But no, we definitely had something to say. There was a lot that was cut out, especially with what I said that they didn't want, that they didn't necessarily want to go for the public to say, because I had some very choice words. I was very upset. I was pissed off. I was very pissed off. You know, we had a production meeting the following day, me and the other two producers, and we had some very serious disagreement. It just is what it is. And from there, and then another conversation, I made the decision to move WebLYFE to an entirely new production company. It is my creation. It is mine, trademark. It is under Michael Jean-Pierre Media, and that's going to be on TV.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Like, so I want to ask, like, going into season 2, will you be more hands-on with like production and editing as opposed to season 1?
Much more.
Okay.
Those who can do and those who cannot outsource. So I'll partner with a number of organizations to produce WebLYFE 2. Of course, You Do TV, which will be on. I'll be co-executive producing it with my good friend and the owner of You Do TV, which is Maurice Ravenna. We also have Forever Dope Management coming on. She's a professional project manager. She'll be bringing her resources and her public relations skills to the table. Control Magazine is also going to be sponsoring the show. And we'll be partnering with Ultimate Appeal Magazine to do some other things as well. And I also have a few other donors that are sending some money. One of the things that we will be doing that's different from a lot of the other web reality casts is we'll be paying our cast members to be on board. I'm not going to tell you the system that we're using to do that, but they will be compensated for their time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
this is like, for me, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, that first season was not a reflection of me. I'll be real with you. You got to see parts of some of the worst parts of me, and my weakness and my illness. And I didn't even like how I looked on that first season. Like, I can tell I have been very depressed. I have been very stressed. I was eating my feelings left and right.
I could see that because I feel like, I mean, I've never been on reality TV, but I feel like it does seem like it would hold a mirror to you. Like, obviously, when you're in your life, you're not, I don't think most people have that self-awareness to the point where you can see yourself in your life, you know? So I feel like when you're on reality TV, you could like, you really get to see how you look to other people. And I feel like that's, you know, scary for some people or most people really. So
it's a wake up call for me.
So like,
a wake up call.
So seeing yourself, what are some of the things that you feel, if you're comfortable sharing about yourself that you felt like you could change or improve, or even things that you liked about yourself that you saw?
Okay, so let's see what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna do it like this: what I liked, what I loved, what I hated. Okay,
perfect.
So what I liked that I could pull a project together and bring friends and colleagues together to form something that was, you know, very memorable. That's what I like. What I loved was seeing myself on screen. A boy who was my shape, my size, looked the way I do, love the way I look. You don't really get to see us too much on screen, especially when it comes to LGBT projects, because they don't really look at bigger boys as being attractive or being worthy. If we are part of something, they want us to be the comic relief. We're viewed as dumb, or we're viewed as somebody's sidekick or something. And so I like that I did have my own identity. Although I was forced, to kind of take a side based on how I felt or believed about something. I did love that. I love that. I love being around my friends. I love the experience, because for me, it removed doubt from me after the fact. When I realized that, say, this is not what I want to see, then I know what I need to do. And what I got to do is get this confidence of mine back up. And how do I do that? Fucking transform it. Now, what I hated is that, I didn't take the time to heal before I started doing this. And that the situation was rushed. Like I tell people, and a lot of people don't know this, I actually filmed this show in the middle of 2 tragedies. Before the show came on, and I don't have a problem talking about this, I actually talked about this on the Money Van Zap show last year. I was a victim of rape and sexual assault. That happened August of 2020. And we started filming this in September of 2020. So maybe 3 to 4 weeks later, I was, jumping into this, and I was kind of using this to not deal with what I was dealing with. But not dealing with that, eating my feelings left and right, being stressed out, working multiple jobs. Y'all saw me collapse on goddamn television. You saw my body cut off like a light. I hate that you saw that. I was embarrassed. I was bewildered. I was vulnerable, not in the way that I wanted to be. It was hard. That was very, very painful to watch me lying out on the floor. And then on the show, I did reveal what was going on with me. But that was edited out in favor of a conversation between Brandon and Carl about something that somebody thought that I might have said. And so when me being vulnerable enough to reveal to you, my rape or my sexual assault was completely edited out because some people felt like it didn't fit a storyline, I hated that. Because that's the real in reality TV. I don't know about you guys, but how many people do you know have been sexually assaulted or raped or abused that don't know of, who might have found a healing moment, or found if it can happen to him, it can happen to me too, and I'm not alone in this. Okay, well, let's track and see how he's healing. And and if there's no room in a storyline for it, we make room for it, because that's important. And this is what I talk about when I tell y'all about quality TV.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like you said, I don't think that's something that we in our community, even men, talk about a lot. So it would have been good to see on the show.
It's a lot of men, and let me tell y'all something. We need to talk about that, because sexual assault and rape in the LGBT community is commonplace. It's happening. And right now, as we speak, it's happening, and it needs to be some light shined on that. I know we want to talk about the parties, we want to talk about the shade, we want to talk about the reading, we want to talk about the outfits, but what about the meat of life, the substance of life? Somebody's going through some serious shit and they healing from it and moving forward. Why is that not a storyline or something? I want to see it.
Can you kind of speak about like how you guys went about, if you all had separate ideas, how did you go about figuring out whose idea you were going to go with? Because obviously you had some different views from some of the other producers. So how did you guys figure that out?
So what we did that is because it was filmed by Outport and it was on Outport Productions, you know, Antar was allowed to be executive producer because I didn't know a lot about production. And so for me, I was like, okay, well, or so I thought, because I've learned differently. This is somebody who's had years and years in production, so he kind of knows what he's talking about. And that just wasn't the case. That just wasn't the case. And at the beginning, I conceded, but as time went on, pushed back further and further and harder and harder and harder, until finally I realized, I said, okay, we can't work together anymore. Robert most times agreed with me. Does that mean he necessarily went back and told Antar? No. Or did he take my side? No. You know, they're friends. They've been friends, and I get it. They've been friends since they were like 14, 15. You understand what I'm saying? But for me, I'm not gonna just be quiet when I see something wrong or when I know something isn't right. I must speak up about it. And it was my project, and I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? It was a great try that I gave them, and now it's time to move it somewhere else. And that's it.
Okay.
Troy, did you have a question? Like you were about to say something.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just listening. I had a question, and he kind of answered it already. I was just gonna ask about like the Halloween party. Like, how are you feeling like leading up to that event? But
oh my God! So let me tell you, leading up to the event, I was really excited about the Halloween party. I really was. Let me get y'all to understand something. And this is Brandon not making an excuse for me, because I know some people like, Brandon makes these excuses for Mikey or such and this. No. Mikey had ordered some wings, right? They're supposed to be 6 feet wide in length and flat. Those are the kind of wings I ordered. Like, you ever seen Lucifer before on Netflix? Mm-hmm. They're supposed to be like that. They're supposed to flop up like that.
Okay.
I had a situation of what I ordered versus what I got. I wish I had those wings right here now. Those wings were small enough to fit my nephew. They did not flap. They were made out of some kind of terror cloth. And they didn't even come around. They actually arrived, I ordered them at the end of August. They didn't come until halfway through January of this year.
Damn.
So that's the first thing. So I had to hurry up and scramble to find an outfit. My boss and friend, like who I'm working with too, Maurice, he was helping me plan everything, and we getting everything together. We was having people. We was gonna have him. He was gonna be driving there with food and stuff in. We was gonna already have it cooked and stuff like that. The day of, he tests positive for COVID. I had to take all that over. Everything that he's supposed to be doing, I had to take over. That stressed me out. Then I'm dealing with a camera in my face. And then Carl said some shit to me. People are asking, calling and texting me back, where's Mike? Where's Mike? What's going on? What's this? What's this? What's that? It was a lot. It was a whole lot. And like I said, my own stuff, not dealing with my own stuff, being stressed out from that. It was just that's what I felt should have been a really, really good night, turned out to like be a really, really bad night. And for a while, y'all actually had me terrified to even do events. But what I've decided to do moving forward is when it comes to doing events, like I said, those who can do and those who cannot outsource, I'll be hiring an event planner. I'm not gonna do anything but show up looking great.
Right.
That's it.
That's what I would have did. Yeah. Because I can't plan no party.
I'm not planning. I'm not planning shit. That's exactly what their expertise is, and that's what we need to use them for. Is I'm gonna be sticking to and doing that.
Right. Okay, so for season 2, I know you said, of course, you want to see a different type of vibe for season 2. Right. What are some of the things that you plan on, or some of the stories, or even some of the type of people that you plan on showing on season 2? I know we know who the cast will be, but what kind of
update on the cast. Larry will not be coming back for a second season of WebLYFE. And that's because Larry is about to take on a role that is so needed. It's bigger than what WebLYFE got going on. What he is doing is what I've been telling a lot of Black people and parents that we need to see to move our race to the next level. So when he makes his announcement on the 25th, I think you guys should have him come on your show. I think you should have a conversation with him because it's monumental. So I get that. But Lacey Freshie and Carl are returning. Brandon and Chris will not be. For Chris, I think he said he realized that reality TV, isn't for him and necessarily what he wants to do. And I get that and I respect that. Brandon is doing his own thing. I love Brandon. I wish him the best in all his projects because he has some pretty amazing things coming out too. But for me, I'm looking for 3 new cast members to join myself, Lacey, Freshie, and Carl for season 2. I do know that I want one of them to be a trans woman. Okay. Because for me, I've always wanted the L, the G, the B, and the T.
Right.
I got the L. Actually, the first season, we got half of the L, you know what I mean? Which was really bothersome to me because Lacey and Freshie are great together, but also great separately. Y'all didn't get to see much of Freshie and her personality. Freshie is a really dope, really, really, really dope person. You got the G, you had Larry, you had Brandon, you had Carl, you had Chris, and you had the B, you have me. But the T was missing. And I want to have a trans girl on the show who is like, doing it. I want more than the usual. You understand what I'm saying? So I do have a few candidates in mind that I'm actually going to reach out to. But for us, I'm sticking to the motif of it being web series related actors and actresses, media personalities, and like directors and content creators. That's what I'm sticking to. It had to be marketed properly and presented properly. The show would be much bigger than it actually is now. It'd been much more well received.
And that's saying something because the show did really good for its first season. You don't think so?
So, I'll break it down to you like this. Okay. So me and everybody on that cast all combined. It's a numbers game. It really is a fucking numbers game. So me and everybody on that cast combined all together across all social media platform reaches have 2 million individual followers. Okay. And so had marketing been done properly, and I actually did the research like this was I run off numbers again. So I went to a research group. I based everybody's numbers together. How much a projected season should have been for season 1. It was 100,000 views collectively over the course of 7 episodes. Does that make sense? Over the course of 7 episodes, as opposed to the projections that they expected was for it to be 100,000 views per episode, 100 to 200,000. So in a sense, it would be considered a numerical flaw or flop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And a lot of people want to say, well, a lot of these other shows, they started off with similar numbers and stuff like that. And I get that and I understand that. But at the same time, their followership, their readership and subscribership weren't as high as ours were like, just naturally. And some people would say, well, followership doesn't necessarily subscribe over to or translate over to views. It does when it's marketed properly. It does when the people who are in power or powers that be look at it and say, I love the quality, I love the storyline, I love the cast. The most I heard was the last. I love the cast. Because I had colleagues myself. And let me tell y'all something. And this is no disrespect to people who run smaller media outlets because we all start somewhere. Let's be very clear about that. But with bigger mainstream components who watch the show, and I couldn't get them to blog or write about it, they've written about plenty of stuff that I've done or things that I'm a part of. They wouldn't write about this because they did not like the production quality of it. They didn't like the storyline. And they didn't like how it was centered around 1 or 2 people. When they were like, okay, well, Mike, when are we going to see what you do? Why didn't they show you over here interviewing such and such? You just did an interview with Donnell Jones. Why isn't he on there?
Right.
What's going on? That's what I'm talking about. So I mean, those were big numbers, for that production company. Because the other stuff they had did, it got much smaller views. And that's not to knock that or anything, but just speaking from a numerical point of view, statistical data, analysis, that's where I got that from.
I could see, like, when you break it down like that, I can see that because I like just looking at the followers that like you guys had as a cast on Instagram. I was like, oh, wow, like I can see why, you pulled the numbers that you pulled. But when you really think about it, like you could pull even more if you had, the right marketing. So, yeah, that's a good thing to note. We're a little crunched for time. We don't have that we don't have that Zoom upgrade, bro.
The level of unprofessionalism, far too much.
Oh my god. We definitely should have reached out about that.
It's $15 a month. It's invaluable. I would invest it.
Yeah. I think for us it's like because we started this as a hobby and now like we're like really starting to get into it. We're like, we should really start doing that, and then we should start doing that, and we should start doing that. So it's definitely like
a learning process.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, don't treat it as a hobby because this hobby can become your life.
Right.
very quickly and very easily when you're good at it. Whatever you do, put love into it and put all of your love into it. That's the only way it's gonna grow. Nothing works with it.
Absolutely. And that are perfect words to end on. So this has been Key and Carrie, where we Key.
And we Carrie.
I'm Damon.
I'm Troy.
And we're with Hey Mikey. Thank you so much for this interview.
Yes, thank you
so
much.
Thank y'all for taking your time to talk with me. I really appreciate it. Anything you guys ever need from me, let me know. I'll be sending you much more information about WebLYFE Season 2 and all the other projects we have incoming. Let's get together. Black media rocks, and we got to stick together, okay?
Absolutely.
Definitely.